Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This is the final episode for No Capes for the season, the show where we talk about creator-owned comics with creators who own comics. Today, I'm joined by Fell Hound, who's one of my collaborators with Frankie White on Project Starless Daydream. Fell, if you'd like to introduce yourself to everyone.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me, Sean. I'm Fell. I'm a cartoonist from Toronto. Probably best known for some of my self-published indie stuff. I made a comic zine last year called Do You Believe in an Afterlife? And this year I collaborated with Letter Squids to make Commander Rao, which was a dystopian action one-shot that we kickstarted over the summer. And between that, just been working on a couple anthologies here and there. Sean mentioned that we worked on Project Starless Daydream together with Frankie White, and I'm very excited for that to come out. And yeah, just looking forward to what 2021 brings.
Yeah, that's right. I'm really looking forward to that book. I'm glad we both got to do that. It was for a really great
Mm-hmm.
cause. For anyone who doesn't know about it, it was a fundraiser for the Trevor Project. And it's
Mm-hmm.
another mecha comic. It's billed as the finale to the mecha anime that never existed.
Yes.
So it's going to be really fun. I'm not sure if Frankie's going to be releasing it digitally or not. I know that at least as far as the hardcover goes, the Kickstarter was the only place to get them. Aside from
Mm-hmm.
those of us that will have our few copies.
Yeah, like he told me about the comp copies, but I was like, oh, it's going for a good cause. I'm gonna buy one anyway.
So did
Also,
I.
I really
I had
wanted a
already
poster.
backed it, and then
Yeah.
he told me about that, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's so nice.
Yes, everybody needs two copies. It's a beautiful book. There's so many cool collaborators on that book. Like I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, there's some real talent on that book. Like there's some indie
Hmm.
folks with like 5 followers up to some giants of the industry like Simone Regazzoni and uh, Liana
Yeah.
Kangas.
Yes. Honestly, part of the reason I also want the Kickstarter was because I really wanted her poster. It's so pretty.
Yeah, yeah, it's awesome. Liana's poster is great. I'm hoping to
Hmm.
have Liana on the show next year as well. It's just time zones.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
But fingers crossed.
Yeah. All right. So today we are
Hmm.
talking about a comic by, well, actually, another comic by a good friend of mine. Unfortunately, the first episode about one of his comics got lost. But this is Ryan K Lindsay, who is a fellow Australian comics creator. And it was with, oh man, I'm having a mental blank right here. I'm going to just quickly
All
check
right.
that, and I'll edit that. Eric
Yeah.
Zawadzki
Yes.
and Dee
Yeah.
Cunniffe. Um, Fantastic team. I love pretty much anything that any of their names are ever on. And
Yes.
it's a really fun, well, not fun, but fun to read book. It's
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. That as you can see by the cover here, it's really striking. It's a one and done, one shot story, self contained graphic novel, which is cool. Published by Black
Hmm.
Mask.
Yeah,
Uh,
like this was my introduction to Ryan's work, and like what an introduction, honestly.
right. Um,
Yeah, I was so blown away.
Shoot, what was the first Ryan book that I read? I think it was
I like Beautiful Canvas, I think
no,
it's called.
I've got
Trying to remember
Beautiful
that.
Canvas, but it was my
Yeah.
second book of his. Negative Space.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was my first book of his, I think, that I read. And then Dear Editor and Beautiful Canvas.
I still need to catch up on some of those. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I know that Dear Editor is out of print, so you can't get a print copy anymore. But I also do know that Ryan has been teasing me little bits and pieces about the future of Dear Editor across this year because I've hassled him a few times ago about when more Dear Editor is coming out.
So there's a chance it will be back in print.
Yeah, yeah, it might
Actually.
be back in print, but there's a chance at least that we're going to get more of that story, which is really interesting.
Oh
Um,
yeah, that'd be awesome.
yeah, yeah, but this book focuses on it's a Viking story, obviously, and it's about a group of shield maidens in a really isolated region that are trying to protect themselves and their village from some other rival warriors who are trying to take their land. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Now, where did I just put that window? Here we go. All right.
Yeah, I'm
So,
gonna try my best to pronounce some of these names, but I feel like I should just leave them be.
yeah, some of these Viking names are going to be interesting to try to guess. I mean,
Yeah.
and the book, again, the book is gorgeous. Like, Dee has done a fantastic job on the colors, and
Yes.
Eric's done a fantastic job illustrating. This first page is just this massive double page spread of broken ice and blood and lost swords.
It's honestly so beautiful. I also really like just the use of negative space, even in the
Mm,
first few pages. Like you have that whole it's just empty white and snow, and then you've just got that one panel at the bottom of the page.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, I really like that panel actually.
mm-hmm.
Um, I'll just tell Ryan he should make that into a bookmark because that would be a really cool bookmark.
I mean, I'd buy it.
Yeah.
I'd pay the shipping from Australia to Toronto. Yeah.
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
dynamism of the action in the illustration in this book is really good. Like we're opened up from that negative space page straight into mid battle here.
Yeah. I just love how fluid everything is. Like even they said it was like it feels like it could be an animation almost.
Yeah, yeah, it does, and it's there's just so much energy in everything. There's something that I'm still struggling with in my own art is that energy and real dynamism in action. It can be tricky, especially when you're working with multiple figures. Like it's an all-in brawl here, but nothing looks static and lifeless. There's so much life in the page. Okay, yeah. So I was saying that they've put so much life and energy into this fight scene. There's not a single panel that looks static or lifeless, which is something that I
Yeah.
struggle with sometimes in my own work. Is like making sure that the dynamic pose actually looks like there's life to it.
Yeah, it's honestly, I mean, I drew an action comic this year and my goal was to try to emulate that cinematic quality, but even so, it's really hard just to figure out all the panels and how all the movements need to flow together so that readers will know what is going on cuz action scenes can get messy.
Right?
And I just feel like it's especially in Eternal here, it's just done really well.
Yeah, no, it really is. There's so much in it that you can feel it.
Mhm.
This next page, though, with the knotwork framing of the panels and everything, is
Yes.
fantastic. I like the fisheye lens sort of look.
Yeah.
That's really
Like
cool.
I mhm. Like I honestly love the creative paneling like you said with the knotwork and stuff cuz like with comics I feel like people always focus with what's just inside the panels and not really like use of gutter space or use of panels or layouts, but here they use all of it and it just works.
Yeah, no, it really does. Like there's not a lot of comics you would see this much negative space on a page, but still feel like it is right.
Mhm. And it just adds to the atmosphere without having to spell it out for you in exposition or with words or anything. It's just like you open this and you know exactly what it speaks of the culture, it speaks of the setting. It just works.
It does, and like just looking at it,
Mhm.
like this poster, this page would make an amazing poster.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. If they ever sold prints of it, just saying.
Yeah,
Mhm.
come on, Comixology, don't do this to me. There we go. Okay. Um, yeah, that's right. And this is sort of the they're talking about the legacy of their father, and that the sword is there in case he doesn't return.
Yeah. I really like how these opening pages ended up being parallel to later on in the story. It kind of just sets up the relationship, and then
Yeah,
once you see what happens throughout the story and you go back to it, it just makes everything so sad.
does. And I love the way that well, I think this would have to be up to Dee because Dee was working on the colors. Um,
Mm-hmm.
has done not black line art on the hair and the fur and stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm just noticing that.
Yeah, in contrast to the solid blacks of everything else.
Yeah, I really like that. Like even with my own color work, I always try to experiment with like how it's like when you color in the lines instead of just having
Yeah,
everything all black.
yep. I've
I
done that
haven't
with
figured out the
One
secret yet.
Piece. No, same. I did it with
Hmm.
One Piece, and it looked alright, but it didn't look this good.
Yeah, right.
I'm just
It's
so
like it needs to
used.
balance with all the other colors as well.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm so used to doing,
Hmm.
you know, bright, cartoony, solid black line art, and trying to experiment with this other
Yeah.
sort of stuff can get really confusing. And
Yeah.
like, they did it with the flower here as well, where they've done the pink line art on the flower, but the black line art on the stem.
Hmm. It's just I feel like it's just makes a very good contrast, like for things that stand out. Like Viv's hair stands out a lot. The pink flower stands out a lot in contrast to everything.
Yeah,
It's just like a more like a gentle feel to it with the lighter line art there.
yeah, exactly. And then it's immediately contrasted by the darkness in this next scene where she returns to interrogate these men that have been sent to mess with their village.
Hmm. And I really love that last panel where you just see like the anger and determination in Viv's eyes. Like
Yeah,
that's a death stare right there. Don't want to be on the other end of that.
it really is. And then of course
Hmm.
we've then got the credit page. I like how they did that too. Like
Hmm.
they set up the story first before bringing in this the credits page. They let the story
Yeah.
do its work.
Yes.
Because sometimes this
It,
page is
yeah.
right at the start or like 2 pages in, and it can be a bit distracting. But I feel like that was a really good beat to stop and be like, yeah, here are the people who made this thing.
Yeah, like it feels like the opening to a movie, pretty much. Like
Yeah,
when they have like a little
exactly,
opening scene, and then it's like the credits and the movie title, being like, "Here's what the movie's about."
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And then again with the top panel here, the solid black is literally only used in the deepest shadows on one part of the mountains there.
Oh yeah, I'm just noticing that now. Even.
Yeah, and the clouds are
Yeah.
barely lined at all.
Mm-hmm.
That's really
Yeah.
nice. It's got that soft,
Yeah.
distant feel to it.
Yeah. Like even when I do my own art, I have yet to figure out how to use spot blacks effectively. But here, when they use it to shade the mountains
Tell
and
me
everything, it just
about
looks
it.
good. Like I
I
feel like you need to know so much about shading and form, and it's just
Yeah, I
my
just
mind just
bought
doesn't work that way.
that dynamic light and shade recently.
Ooh.
Um, it's good. Like I haven't read it all the way through yet, and but I'm sort of torn on
Yeah.
it. Like it's the only book really that exists on the subject right now, because most modern artists are making YouTube content and stuff instead, which is
Yeah.
great. I do love watching a good YouTube video, take whatever I can from it, but with especially again with my ADHD and stuff, sometimes I just need a book that I
Yeah.
can just flip open to the page I know the content is on and
Yes. Yeah.
look at that book while I'm working. But the issue is that this book is like 20 years old and it looks
Yeah.
20 years old. The lessons are still very important and applicable today, but the artistic style and what was in fashion at the time is completely
Yeah.
different to what's in fashion now.
No, I get that. I have some very old art books, and these are like the staple illustration books that like all the art schools use, but they're
Mm-hmm.
so old. It's like I could smell the dust off of this
Yeah.
book.
I tell
Yeah,
you,
and even
sorry, no, you finish.
no, I was just gonna say like most of the artists that I follow now, a lot of them are digital artists, and they don't. I guess a lot of them, a lot of the artists that I look up to don't have this deep shading, black spotting style. So I feel
Yeah.
like that's kind of how I grew up with it, but I still really appreciate a good inked page. It just
Yeah,
looks so nice.
exactly. Like, I don't
Hmm.
think I want to do too much with the solid blacks, but I want to know how to do it in case I feel like doing it.
Yeah, like when I see a really good inked page that's like full of great shadow and spotted blacks, I'm just like, I don't know how you did it, but it looks nice and I admire it.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, trying to draw things like Black Suit Spider-Man and stuff like that when I'm just doing a practice, and I'm just like, where does it go?
Right? Oh my gosh. Like,
Um, I really like what Eric's done here with the movement lines as the boat is flying along too.
yes.
Could have very
Like,
easily just left that a blue background and it still would have looked good. But
mm-hmm.
those lines really add to that sense of urgency and that they're really moving along. They're on a mission.
Yeah, for sure. And like I love how it shows like every little movement of like this the other Vikings and how they're moving the boat and how they're like working to get the boat along. It just
Yeah,
you can feel that it's like a busy moment and they're doing things with determination.
yeah,
Hmm.
exactly.
Yeah.
And like you, again, you can see that determination mirrored in their step as they deboard the boat.
Yeah, absolutely. But like the action on the next couple pages, now those are I mean, they're just incredible. Like you see all those movement lines again and you just see the like how the frame kind of zooms in on Viv's face and it just shows her screaming. Like I just love that shot.
Yeah,
I just
and
think it
I
just
I love the contrast between the last panel here and the next page, where this this arrogant dude has come out to, no, no, little girl, you settle down, and just
right.
bam,
Yeah,
just eat sword.
I know it's a beautiful moment right there.
It's like you're not dealing with ladies here; you're dealing with warriors.
I know, right? It's like you know you see a bunch of women come off a boat with swords and shields, looking like they're ready to fight, and you still have the audacity to be like, "Move along, little girl."
Right? So yeah, you gotta have a special kind of arrogance to try that.
Yeah,
Like they're not even just carrying their gear; like they're off the boat, weapons drawn, looking angry.
right?
Someone's about to get stabbed.
Yeah, and then they did get stabbed.
And I
Yeah,
love.
like
Sorry, you go first.
oh, sorry, no, you can go first.
I
My train
love
of thought
what.
is the boarding station.
Ah, yeah, yeah. I love what they've done with the panels on this next page with the angled panels of the action scene, but then the square close-ups.
Yes, like honestly, the use of the angle panels here, I think it is very nice because I feel like it adds to the movement a little bit more instead of just having like the rectangular panels
Yeah,
in some of for action scenes. Like here, just it just draws your eyes to the movement and the way things are going.
exactly. I found some really good examples of that in some of the comics we've talked about this season, of people using these sort of angled panels and then interposing little close-ups and things that really do well for the action scene. It's been really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Like for Commander Rao, even I tried to use as little square rectangular panels as possible for my action
Mm-hmm.
scenes. A lot of the pages like barely have like the action constrained in the panel. A lot of it just moves out of the panel. But I really like seeing people explore with how they do the action scenes.
Yeah,
And I'm a big fan of moving away from the square style
yeah,
personally.
exactly. I like that as well. Like the mini that I'm working on that Ryan wrote at the moment has got mostly fairly standardized panels in it,
Mm-hmm.
but I have been having a little bit of fun, like changing the shape and arrangement of things, and I've
Yeah.
slapped in a few of those angled panels where I can to experiment with placement and stuff like that. But I'm looking forward to the next thing that I can move on to once that's finished, and really start
Yeah,
meddling with panel shape and placement and stuff like that.
for sure. And like there's nothing wrong with having, you know, just a very like I guess regular rectangular panel layouts. Like I think the most important part is that you're able to tell the story that you want to tell. So whether it's
Exactly.
through the rectangles, if you want to do more weird layouts, then as long as it gets the story across, yeah,
Yeah, and that's where I love what they do here. We've got the white framing of the little hut, but as Vith goes into the to confront the mystic, everything just sort of bleeds together in the blackness.
yeah, it's almost like she's confronting a like a shadow. Even
Yeah,
got like how cold and icy and bright everything is outside, and here you're just walking into mystery. Like it sets up this mysterious man really well, and like you can tell he's an evil dude.
Yeah, exactly. Like immediately
Hmm.
you're like, okay, no, this dude is not right.
Right? Like if it were me, I'd just be like, turn away. Okay, I don't want to deal with this today.
Yeah. And then I
Hmm.
again with the use of the colors and stuff, what they've done here, where they're showing the dream sequence, but you can see how they're setting it up with the smoke and everything going over Vith, and it's giving everything that blue wash before
Yeah,
completely enveloping her into this illusion or hallucination, whatever is happening.
yeah. Like I just love the contrast here, especially with the blue and the fire, because like I feel like the fire and like I don't know if I can skip ahead to a couple later pages,
Oh yeah, easy,
but
easy.
in like some of the later pages, like I feel like the theme of the fire and the glow and how like she sees like this vision coming through the fire, it's always like this motif that comes back.
Yeah,
So like we've got the fire here, and then later she sees the vision in the fire, and it's just like this, I guess, symbolic of what she's going towards.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love how she just like comes out from his hut and just bam, head on a spear,
Yep.
and then off they go with everything in flames.
Yep. Like I've been playing a lot of Assassin's Creed Valhalla lately, and I can say that that's pretty much what Vikings was according to that game. You go in, you burn everything, you come out with a head on a pike. So yeah, I'd say that's pretty accurate. Yeah. But yeah, she just looks absolutely like angry and just like she's here to get shit done.
she's done with their bullshit.
Exactly. It's like not today, Satan, not today.
Yeah, they carve through the
Yeah.
rest of the men, and then they're home,
Mhm.
and you can see them trying to just move on with their life, wondering what's going on with their dad. They still have no news of whether he is alive, if he's lost, if he's dead.
Yep. It's okay. They have each other.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then
I'm
suddenly
just
these
like, yeah.
ghosts start to turn up.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just looking at the page where they sail home right now, and I just noticed that there's a face in the smoke. Like, I've read this comic three
Oh
times, but
yeah, I
I'm
was
just
just
seeing
looking
it
at that
now.
page, and I didn't notice it.
Yeah, I'm literally noticing it just now. That is so cool.
Yeah, that's ominous. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's like, oh, that makes so much sense. Never know what you might miss.
Yeah, yeah, and then yeah,
Hmm.
the other shield maidens are coming home, and they see the ghost of what's his face, Bjart.
Yes. I was wondering how to pronounce that, but
I
that sounds about right.
Something like that. Bjart,
Yeah.
Bjarta. I'm not 100%
Yeah.
sure, but yeah,
We'll go with that. We'll go
yeah.
with
Then he's
Bjarte.
haunting their village and killing their livestock.
Yeah. That's gotta be creepy though. Like, how do you kill a spirit?
Yeah. Oh, and here's that
Hmm.
page you're talking about with the vision in the fire.
Yeah, for sure. And like the shadows here again, we were talking about it. It's just done so well. Like you
Yeah,
just
there's
see
so much
the light just
emotion.
illuminates the eyes.
Yeah,
Hmm. And I just love how throughout the book, even in the last couple of pages, it like this giant fight scene that Viv is in, just it just permeates the entire book.
yeah,
It's like good little beat pages here and there
yeah,
spread
exactly.
throughout.
Sure, not everything is quiet. That she's
Hmm.
still embroiled in battle and still carrying on with everything.
Yeah, like it's you've got all the blood and violence, and then you've got all these somewhat calm moments where in the village, except for the fact that they're haunted by a spirit, but
Mm-hmm.
it's still relatively calm otherwise.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
boy, I forgot about this part actually. When she hears the scream and comes barreling out of the hut
Oh
to
yes,
confront the spirit.
yes. Man,
and
this is like a one, two.
yeah, and it was a trap the whole time.
Yeah. But man, that
That's
12 panel page, just looking
yeah,
at it. Oh yeah, this part was so sad. Like, you can just see how devastated she is when she finds out that she actually
yeah,
killed
just
the
kill.
kid and not the spirit.
Not just any kid though.
Hmm.
It's her little brother.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. Right?
That's really really rough.
Ugh,
Oh,
poor guy. But yeah, I think it's like, I mean, this whole theme of violence and the cycle of vengeance and all that.
mm,
I mean, it all comes back to revenge and violence and everything. And I feel like this is the moment where Viv realizes that, it's like the path to glory and the path to what she wants isn't going to be easy,
yeah,
and there's so much to lose on the way there.
exactly. No, like
Hmm.
this scene with the high contrast with the funeral pyre for her little brother. Like there's so much weight in that.
Yes. And like even just like I really like what I like about this comic is that it doesn't like it kind of slows down in these heavy moments and just fills it with some of these blank pages, like the double page where it's just all black. They're
Yeah,
just good pacing moments. And you can tell that this wasn't a book that was constrained with a deadline or a page limit, and they were just free to put those pages in and add to the story. Because silence is a very, very powerful tool, and especially in a scene like this.
yeah, no, exactly, and that's it. There's not so much. There's not even that much dialogue in the whole book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like sometimes you don't really need to explain everything. You just, you have the art carry itself, and this is a book that does that really well.
Yeah, it really does. It doesn't need a lot of that dialogue because of, like you said, these emotional story beats and how much is carried just in the visuals.
Yeah. And then we've got that page right after where it harkens back to the first page in parallel, the
Mm,
sword on the ground.
yeah, I was just about to mention. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
yeah, and she just breaks down.
Yeah. But
And then
it's interesting here, yeah. Sorry, go on.
yeah, no, you go.
No, I'm just saying that like it's interesting like where they choose to use the kind of knotted borders and where they choose not to, especially for the village pages, because they use it in like the beginning and some of the pages near the beginning, but then later on they kind of forgot it and just use the regular white panel borders.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I really like how they experiment with the different bordering and stuff on these pages.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I love how like wordlessly they convey that something even more serious and devastating has obviously happened.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like
She's
you
in
just
the
see Viv go on her own.
yeah, she's there, she's
Mhm.
mourning. Someone is pointing something out, and she just immediately goes and grabs her father's sword and shield and leaves.
Yeah. And it doesn't say what she's about to do either. So you always have that aura of mystery. You've got these wolves staring at her, and it just builds to like, what is she about to do? Or
Yeah,
what is going on? Yeah. And I love that they don't use any words here, and it just shows her determination. She tells everybody not to come with her, and you
right.
just
And
see her go off.
yeah, she's obviously like, she's so palpatively angry that even the wolves just leave her alone.
Right? Like, oh, not messing with that today. Yeah.
Ah, yes, and this is the culmination of those red pages where she's been fighting that battle.
Hmm. I
These,
love how they
yeah,
came back to that and you finally
yeah,
figure out what was going on the entire time.
yeah. These are those guys.
Yes.
Oof.
And now they're
Uh,
about to all have all their heads chopped off and
yep. And then
yeah.
even Vith is gone.
Oh yeah. Oh, this page where they zoom in on her eyes, that
Yeah.
is just
Oh,
Beautiful, beautiful page. I would like a print of that on my wall.
yeah. Yep. And then again, like you said, it goes on. It's more about that cycle of vengeance and hatred and how toxic it is for everyone.
Yeah. And then I love how it all ties back to the spirit at the end because
Yeah.
Viv was talking about how she wanted to find a way to kill the spirit and gain Valhalla on Earth, and it just all comes back to trying to kill that spirit.
Yep. And here she is, glowing eyes, flaming sword.
Yes. Oh, I love this. I love this so much.
Yeah, that's an amazing page. I love that page.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Yeah, and it just ends like
Yeah, she's
I
just.
feel like with the sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying she's just gone. Yeah, like you said, it ends.
Yeah. Yeah, but like, you have this page where it's just all snow and emptiness and fog again, and it's just I feel like there's this always this feeling of emptiness or something left behind because it
Yeah,
just she just fades away into this fog, and we assume that the cycle just continues over and over and over, where they're all trying to kill each other and destroy the spirit and everything. But it's a beautiful ending, and I love that at the end of the book they have all these back like all the back matter on like how
yeah,
they got the book done. I honestly think that's such a cool part of the book.
yeah. And like this note that Ryan wrote about how much he wanted to do this story, but only with Eric. That's really nice.
Yes. I mean, speaking as a creator, I feel like there's always like those one or two creators that you're just dying to work with
Mm-hmm.
all the time. Like honestly for me that was Letter Squids. I saw some of his lettering work. I think there was like a Reddit comic anthology or contest, and one of his comics that he lettered won, and his lettering work, which is so amazing in that short story, and I was like, I need to work with him.
Yeah,
Like I need that guy on my book.
yeah. I know what you mean. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
really want to work with Ted Brand and Rose Stein from Crowded on something. I really want to have them draw something that I've written.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Like, I desperately, if I can, I want to get them on this 70s spy anthology thing that I'm putting together for next year.
Oh, that's so cool. I feel like I can see them doing a little spy thing. I mean, they did Crowded.
Yeah, yeah. I would
Yeah.
love to see their work on that because their style and the dynamism of their work would just really hit.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. I'm gonna write a few
Fingers
shorts.
crossed.
Yeah, I'm gonna write a few
Yeah.
short scripts first and get those done, and
Yeah,
then
for sure.
write because I'm gonna do that thing as like a 10 story anthology, but
Ooh.
it's I'm only writing one, maybe two of those stories,
Yeah.
but
Are
then
you planning
everybody
to
else,
kickstart it?
yeah, once it's all sort of coming together, I'm gonna do it for Kickstarter. But it's yeah, it'll have other writers and other artists doing the other stories. They'll just get given like the guidelines of the world, and then they can write
Yeah.
a
Oh,
story
that's so
in that
cool.
world.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like a lot of anthologies are being primarily funded through Kickstarter. It's such a great way to collaborate and find people to work with and really just like it's just like a small way to meet the community and get your work out there.
Yeah,
So
it
that's been really
is.
fun to see in the last few years. Hmm.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I jumped when Frankie asked me about working on Starless Daydream because I knew I wasn't going to get a lot of
Yeah.
time to finish anything else that I was working on this year. With the way that I work, plus just other things like getting a day job and 2020 being 2020, I knew I wasn't going to get
Oh
heaps
yeah,
of time
2020.
to work on my other main projects this year. So I was like, if I can get one published comic thing done,
That's a
uh,
plus. That's all you need.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
and then next year is going to be
Honestly,
about
yeah.
finishing all of these little things that I've got floating in the ether.
I believe in you. Yeah. But I mean, I feel you because like comics is a lot of work.
It is.
I mean, like I made Commander Rao. It's only what 28 pages, and it took me like 4 months to draw. So
Yeah.
like I feel like some people who aren't making the comics underestimate just how much work goes into making something like that.
Right. And that's it. Like, I started on this comic that
Hmm.
Ryan wrote last year, but then I started uni. So it had to go
Oh yeah.
completely on the shelf. And then I lost all my work. because my tablet
Oh
crashed.
no. No, that's the
But
worst.
thankfully, I'd sent screenshots to Ryan, so I was able to download those and then trace over it and have something to start from.
Yeah, that's good.
But
There was a backup.
yeah, it did kind of work out in my favor because I was able to take a look at it and go, oh, well, I wanted to fix that and I wanted to fix that and I wanted to fix that anyway, and sort of
Yes.
change a few things. So even though it's taken longer than I would have liked, it did work out because, like, I did, in between those two things, I did the page for Frankie. And that
Yeah.
helped me
Sweet.
learn a lot more about telling my sequential narrative. And I did a few other things which really helped.
Yeah. Like honestly, some people have asked me like what's the best way to learn how to draw comics, and I mean there's books. There's lots of really good books out there, but I always feel like the best way to learn is just by reading comics and just by studying how the comics that you like ended up working.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
so
And that
mhm.
is 1,000% one of the best things that I've gotten out of this show this year. Is talking with all
Yes.
the other creators and listening to what they had to say about the books that we're looking at. I've learned so much.
Yes, honestly, it's so nice to just being able to pick their brains and feel like what's going on. Like even with Eternal, like this book was such a huge inspiration to my work. Like this is a it's a one shot. It's done in one
Yep,
go. You've got beginning, middle, and end, and it's full of action and emotion, and that's really what I tried to bring out in Commander Row as well. It's a one shot. It's full of action. It's full of emotion, and I feel like a book like this just pretty much laid the groundwork for what I wanted to achieve in my own work.
exactly.
Hmm.
And that reminds me,
Yeah.
I've bought that and I need to sit down and read it now that I've got some time.
It's okay. Take your time. I have like a giant stack of comics sitting right there in that corner, and it's getting bigger and bigger.
Yep,
I literally just bought like 12 more today, and I
yep.
still
No,
need to read them someday.
that's exactly it. I've received a bunch of comps in the last week or two, and I'm just like,
Oh, nice.
need to sit down and read them, need to sit down and read them.
Right? What do you mean I can't just put it under my pillow and have it osmosis into my brain when I sleep? I
Yeah,
feel like that should be a thing.
yeah, no, that would be great. And
Yeah.
that's it. I want to go back and observe this book over, just slowly again sometime because I'm looking at this final, the cover inks in the back,
Mhm. Mhm.
and looking at the hair on Vith that Eric's done there. Hair is
Yeah.
something I struggle with.
From what I've learned, you start with a blob and then you
Yeah,
slowly separate the blobs into smaller blobs until they become strands.
right.
That's kind of how
Um,
I approach hair.
yeah, I've sort of been getting
Yeah.
that, but I always sort of ended up with it looking like kind of frozen and weird. But I
Oh,
watched a video tutorial recently, and I am forgetting the guy's name right now. He's a really well known comics artist, and now I'm forgetting Finch. Someone Finch.
David?
I think so, yeah. He's
Trying to.
got tutorials on his YouTube channel that he does. And he did a really
Oh,
good
that's so
one on
cool.
how
Yeah.
he draws hair, and another one on how he draws clothing folds.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah,
Clothing
and
folds is one that gets me all the time.
mm-hmm. And after watching those, it really, really helped me to improve on those. And I'm starting to feel like I'm getting more of a hang on hair at least.
Yeah. Like honestly, I'm so glad for YouTube now because it's just so convenient for learning how to do things.
Right?
Hmm.
It
Yeah,
no,
even
it
to
really
studying other
helps.
artists. Yeah. Like for the longest time, I could not draw faces at all. Like they would just be like two dots and a mouth.
Yep.
And then I just like so much YouTube and so much studying other comic book artists and artists that I like until I finally figured out how to draw, something a little more realistic.
Yeah, no, I know
But
what you mean. Yeah,
yeah,
David Finch. You're right.
yes.
I
And
tell
there's
you what.
also Meredith Finch, I think.
Oh yeah. I tell you
Trying to remember all the
who
Finches.
else has really helped me with my work is Mike Hawthorne.
Ooh,
Um, he was the artist for Superior Spider-Man, and he's
nice.
currently doing Daredevil.
Oh, that's so cool.
And he did a Kickstarter a little while ago. He's got a few books out because he's actually an anatomy teacher at university as well.
Oh,
Um,
awesome.
so he's got one book which is like a collection of all of his lecture notes
Mm-hmm.
on anatomy, um, and another
That
one
sounds
that
super
is
useful.
like a collection of all of his figure drawing studies that he does. And then the
Yeah.
proper like guideline slash tutorial book that he did is called The Drawing Cheat Codes. And it takes like all of those lessons that all those older anatomy books try to tell you in really long-winded fashions and
Yeah.
breaks them down into really simple diagrams with almost no text.
Honestly, I think that's the best way to just
And
have the
yeah,
visuals. Yeah.
I got the that I backed the Kickstarter and I bought the PDF as well so that I could print it out and have it on the wall in the studio for quick reference.
Yes.
But that's
Yeah.
what really helped me level up between my page for Starless Daydream and the pinup
Mm-hmm.
that I'm working on.
Yeah, that's
Because
awesome.
if you like, have a look at the faces that I did on the page versus the face that I did for Fuku in the pinup, there's like
Mhm.
this much difference between the two, and it was from sitting down and reading that book.
Yeah. It's always nice to be able to see your improvement and be able to chart it. And
Mm,
just speaking on like how you're saying, with reference books and how it's nice when they're mostly visual. I feel like a lot of the older illustration books, a lot of it is just text. And you have
yeah,
like one example after all the text. And I've just never been
exactly.
able to get into that.
No, and that's the thing is if we're visual artists, we need to parse visual information.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, Mike's book is really good for that. Um,
That's awesome.
nope, it's not in here. It's in the other room. I was gonna show it, but
It's
it's only about
all
this
good.
big.
Oh wow. A tiny
It's
book.
really small and it's about 6 mil thick, but it's
Hmm.
packed with so many useful diagrams.
Yeah, like even when I started out, I just started out with like the basic kids how to draw books because they those actually broke those down to very simple figures that I
Yeah,
could kind of understand a little bit better, and then I moved on to like
yeah.
actual
Actually,
drawing books.
the second episode of the show, we had someone who did a bunch of those on.
Oh really? Oh,
David
that's so
Oakham,
cool.
Oakham Arts. He did a bunch of the how to draw
Hmm.
manga and how to draw comics books back in the day.
That's so sick. Oh my gosh.
And he's a paper mini artist now.
Sorry, what
A
artist?
paper miniatures artist for TTRPGs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, his paper
Wow.
minis are really fun actually. He does like a lot of traditional D&D stuff, but he also does a lot of schlocky, pulp, and superhero stuff.
Yes. Oh, that's so
Yeah,
cool. So you can have like Superman in your game and everything?
yeah, essentially, yeah, because he plays a lot of oh, what's the name of it? Mutants and Masterminds,
I see.
which is a superhero themed RPG, and so he makes heaps of minis for that sort of thing.
That's so cool.
Yeah, but yeah,
Sounds
he
like a
did
fun
a bunch
job.
of those. I was wondering if I'd maybe had read them, but I had a look at the ones that he did, and I didn't have any of those on the shelf.
It's all good.
But then again, that
Yeah.
is Australia. We don't get as many of those things here unless we buy them from overseas.
Oh. Yeah, my
I
sister brought me one art reference book, and I'm pretty sure it came from like some obscure European country. I can't remember what it was. It starts with an
yeah.
L. But yeah, shipping was a lot. But it's called Anatomy for Sculptors.
Oh yeah.
Uh yeah, like it's such an awesome book because it's just all visual references.
Yeah, I found a good
Hmm.
one recently. I haven't read it all the way through, but it was like anatomy for the visual artist or for illustration or something, and it's
Oh, neat.
about this big and about that thick, but it
Wow.
has heaps of illustrative examples as well as the text. It's not as text heavy as a lot of them, which was why I picked it
Yeah.
up because it was on sale for $10. So I was like, yeah, I'll have this, thanks.
Oh, sweet.
But,
Yes.
yeah,
Love when
because
a good
as
art
you said,
book's
a
on
lot of them
sale.
have been more textbooky.
Yeah. Like my sister went to actual art school, so she has a lot of those classic textbooks that
Yeah,
I tried to absorb and just could not.
yeah. We went to art school last
Hmm.
year, and then we left by the end of the year.
It's not for everybody.
No,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was especially
Hmm.
here. It was really frustrating because they didn't teach any of the disciplines that we were going to learn. They didn't
Hmm.
even teach life drawing in the traditional sense anymore.
Really? I feel like
Yeah, they
that's
had
an
this.
important one.
Yeah, they had this weird style of teaching because you can just learn figure drawing from a book, so we don't teach that classic figure drawing style anymore. Was a thing that the guy that created the course literally said to me.
What did they teach you then?
Well, exactly. We just did
Oh,
the
okay.
intro to drawing class for first year and was like, this is not great. They didn't have any illustration classes anymore. They didn't have any like proper clay sculpture. They didn't have any textile classes,
Wow.
and this was in a fine arts degree.
Jeez.
And then
That's
now
crazy. Yeah.
they've gotten rid of so much stuff at the end of this year, so, right, because of government cuts, that they can't even call
That
the fine
sucks.
art degree a fine art degree anymore. They have to change it to visual arts because
Yikes.
that much funding has been slashed.
Well, that's really sad, actually.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's the sort of the status of university education in Australia right now, but especially the arts. Things that are like artistic and design and stuff like that got rebranded by the government as lifestyle classes,
Oh boy. Is
which
this
gave
because
them
of
an
COVID, or
excuse.
is it just
No, no, this has
everything
been
else
for the
going
last few
on?
years. It's just because we've got a
Oh,
conservative, not artistic sort of government in place who's just been
the
slashing
worst.
arts funding left and right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
the
sucks.
entire the art scene in Australia has been saved by the artists. That's the only reason we have an art scene here.
Well, I'm glad you guys are still kicking strong, keeping
Yeah,
together.
and it's been good. Like independent
Mhm.
artists have really been kicking ass and creating their own opportunities and stuff here.
Yeah.
We've even got our own like arts specific crowdfunding platform now, which is really
Really?
cool. Yeah, we used
Oh,
it to
that's so cool.
crowdfund an exhibition last year. If you've got an art project, if that's an exhibition, an event, um, a film project, a residency type thing that you want to do, as long as you can show like why it would be beneficial to the arts and culture of your community,
Mm-hmm.
then you can try to crowdfund it on there.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, and then once
Yeah.
you raise the money, it's actually dispersed in the form of an arts grant from the group that runs the platform.
Oh, that's really useful.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
completely forgotten the name of the platform right this second because it's morning, but it's a great
It's
platform.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so that's been really nice that's here.
Like, I wish I was more in touch with the Toronto art scene. I want to say that I would be, but I feel like I'm still so new to art and just trying to go out and network. I don't really know much about what's going on here.
Yeah, I get what
Yeah,
you
other
mean.
than Twitter and social media, I'm a little lost here, honestly.
Yeah, no, it's been an interesting year. Like I feel this year
Yeah.
I have connected so much more strongly with the greater comics community.
Mm-hmm.
Even though my art career is just at the very very beginning and moving at a snail's pace, but I'm so grateful for that opportunity to connect with everyone and sort of put myself into the community now as I'm getting started because I'm learning so much from everyone.
Yeah.
But the local community of arts and stuff in Brisbane, I don't have a clue because I haven't left the house.
Right. Oh, I feel you.
Yeah.
Like I know Toronto has a pretty decent scene. I just don't really know any of them. Like there is like a comic studio, the Raid Studio in Toronto, but
Oh, that's cool.
I've
We
like
have got
yeah, like I've never seen them.
yeah, we've got almost no comic scene in Australia, but
We got
there are a
Ryan.
couple actually here in Brisbane who
Yeah.
started their own indie publishing house,
Oh, that's so sick.
which is
Yeah.
cool. They used to own what was honestly the coolest looking comic book shop in Brisbane. Had like nice hardwood floors. It was a really big, wide, open space. But
Yeah.
Brisbane is a city where if you're not on the main road, people often won't go out of their way looking for things.
Oh no.
So they packed up shop a couple of years ago, but then I found out earlier this year that they actually started their own zine and comics printing house.
Oh, right
So
on.
it's
Yeah.
and like including with an online storefront, so that if you publish through them, they will sell on their website for you as well. So that's
Oh,
really
that's so
cool.
cool. Yeah. It's like a good way to just keep the community alive, even in
It,
like a little way.
yeah, exactly. Because it's almost non-existent in Brisbane. Most of the comics creators in Australia are between Canberra, Sydney, and Melbourne, which are all relatively drivable between each other, even though they're in different states.
Yeah.
But
I guess that's
from
pretty
here
good.
to Sydney is like a 16-hour drive.
Oof. Not fun. Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like I mean the comic scene here, it's either in Ontario, maybe some in Quebec, and then you've got British Columbia and like I mean that's like the span of the entire country from Ontario to British Columbia.
Yeah, yep.
And like between that I don't know really much of what's going on. I
No, I
feel like
get
there's
that.
just so much space. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that completely. I was talking to somebody else the other day who was in. Oh, it was Liz, who's in Canada as well.
Oh, wait, Liz is in Canada?
I think. Was it. Was it Liz,
Oh,
actually?
I have no idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I mean,
Liz
that'd be
said that they
cool.
were in
It's always
Canada
nice to
and
know
because
people.
they'd already had their Thanksgiving out of the way.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I love also with this how they've bookended it with that same panels from the double page spread at the start.
Yes.
And it's just that serene emptiness with the swords and the blood and the snow and the ice.
Mm-hmm.
Just yeah, it's a really nice way to close it off, and
I
just
know. It'd make a very nice wallpaper.
it would actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like I'd
I'd
put
get a
that on
shirt
some
with
gift
that.
wrapping.
That'd make a nice shirt.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we've come to the end of the book, which means we've also pretty much come to the end of the hour. Where can people find you, and what's coming out or is available right now?
Yeah, so I am mostly active on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at fellhound underscore. I'm also on Instagram at fell.hound, where you can find some of my art. Uh, I have a storefront. It's on Gumroad. If you just search Gumroad/Fellhound, you can find my works where I have digital and print copies of Commander Rao and my old comic zine, Do You Believe in an Afterlife? I will say I'm a little low on print copies of Commander Rao, so if you want one for the holidays, you should probably get on that.
Yep, I've
Yeah,
got my digital copy because shipping to Australia is a nightmare. So if you can get yourself a
exactly.
physical copy, go do that now. I will
Mm-hmm.
link those store links and everything in the YouTube description for everyone who's watching. And of course, if you are an illustrator in Australia, join the Australian Illustrators Discord, which you can find below. If you want to chat comics, you want to find out what's happening with No Capes, if you'd like to be on No Capes, join my Discord, which is linked below. There's a lot of RPG stuff, there's comics chat, there's tips for artists, there's tips for video content creators in there, and of course I'm just always around for a chat if you want to get nerdy. And you can find me at Sean Sunday Art on all major social medias. Keep an eye out for Project Starless Daydream with both Fellhound and I's work in it coming out
Yes.
soon. And also, this is the final episode for the year, and it is also Christmas Eve. So, Merry Christmas to
So
you all.
exciting.
If you celebrate, happy holidays. Enjoy the break, rest up, spend some time for yourself and your family. And we'll see you all at the end of January for
Yes.
season 2.
Happy holidays. Take care, everybody.
Bye for now. See you next year.
See ya.